I've always been a fan of conspiracy theories, and it's not that I believe that the Earth is flat or we faked the moon landing, but they are fun to research and hear what people have to say about these things. Area 51 and aliens, however, have both been some of my favorites, so it was a no-brainer when my girlfriend told me she wanted to go to Nevada to visit her parents since her dad's health had been rapidly deteriorating. The flight from Seattle to Las Vegas was bumpy and full of turbulence, which didn't help the fact I have never been a fan of airplanes. Once we landed, her parents picked us up from the airport and took us to their tiny suburban home just north of the city. The whole ride I began researching Area 51. I wanted to know as much as possible before I journeyed there tonight. I decided I would set off at sunset using her father's car since he can't drive anymore due to his Alzheimer's. I was able to get an idea of where the base is since it's surprisingly a pretty popular tourist spot. Within a couple of hours, I had arrived the long approach road to the base. Now obviously I can't just walk onto the base, but I know a guy that used to work here. He said there were tunnels all through the desert that lead to Area 51. All I had to do was plant a small explosive in the correct spot, and I should be able to get in. I parked the car on the side of the road and began walking. I glanced back at the car. It was almost impossible to see in the shadowy darkness that consumed the whole landscape. My friend, who I shall call Mike, gave me specific coordinates that I should plant the explosives. It was about midnight by the time I reached Mike's coordinates. I dug a small hole with my hands into the sand and placed the bombs inside. I then lit the fuse with my rusty lighter and bolted behind a large nearby rock. The explosion was loud and rocked the environment, and I knew I had to hurry since someone would be coming to check this out. After carefully inspecting the small, newly formed crater, I noticed a rusted steel hatch door. I was honestly shocked to see that Mike was right, and deep down, I wish he had lied so I could have just gone home. The door creaked open, revealing a ladder that goes down into darkness. I used my iPhone for light as I descended into the darkness below, shortly after my feet landing firmly on the ground. I dropped into a small, dimly lit hallway that stank of antiseptic, and the walls were made of grayish stone-like material. There was a sign on the wall, and it read, Homey Airport Facility with an arrow pointing to the left, and Groom Lake Research and Development Site with an arrow pointing to the right. After some time, I decided to follow the sign to Groom Lake. After some time walking the empty hall for what seemed like forever, I reached a steel door with a large sign saying Groom Lake Research and Development. The door was hard to open, but after pushing against it with my side, I was able to get in. Before me was a maze of white-walled halls. I had no idea where I was going to go. Next, I decided to start aimlessly walking, and soon stood before me was a large room with a transparent window. It looked like a break room by the stove, microwave and table amongst other things. But I couldn't help but notice a small plastic card sitting on the table. And it was at that moment I knew I was a moron for thinking I would be able to see all the things I wanted to see without an ID card. The name on the ID was Dr. Richard Elder. Richard was a middle-aged, slightly overweight man with short, balding hair, but what stuck out to me was his security level. It read Level X. As far as I was aware, there were only 3 security levels, A, B, and C. But this was new to me. I decided I would see what I could get into with this, so I entered the elevator. On the side of the elevator was a screen and a QR code reader. I put my ID under the reader, and a slight buzz was made as the screen displayed floors for each security level, and then at the bottom was labeled Project X. I selected this mysterious floor, and the elevator hummed as it descended. After about 5 minutes, the elevator halted to a screeching stop as the doors opened. I was greeted by poorly lit white walls leading to a sizable, airtight steel door. I scanned the key card and it opened, revealing a large control room, but my eyes immediately were fixated on a large sign saying, Level X Creature Detainment Facility. I had no idea what that sign meant, but I just had to see. Inside were countless prison-like cells, except noticeably more substantial, and the bars appeared to be much more robust than what you would see in any ordinary prison. All the cells were empty except for one on the end. This cell was noticeably more substantial than all the other cells, and I couldn't see the other end of it, but I knew something was in that one. I could hear it. Like a stupid idiot, I turned on my phone's flashlight and began scanning the cell. I blacked out. I don't know how long I was out for, but I've made a terrible mistake. I awoke to an alarm and flashing red and white lights. I looked up and saw a huge sign that read, Protective headgear must be worn inside the detainment facility. The door leading to the cell area got ripped off its hinges, thrown about 50 feet in the opposite direction. I needed to get out of here. It's not safe with this thing lurking around. As soon as I reached the main level of the facility, musty smell of smoke consumed me. It appears the facility is running off a backup generator now, and the lights are incredibly dim now, and the glistening red alarm lights overshadow the LED lights on the walls. As I walked, I noticed shattered glass and bullet holes becoming more and more frequent. And then I saw a body limp against the wall. It looked like security. I approached the man to inspect him, and I couldn't help but vomit upon seeing his condition. A huge bite was taken out of his neck, revealing muscle and tissue. The man's face was mangled and was twisted in ways not humanly possible. His facial expression described pure horror. I did this, I thought. I caused this man to lose his life, and it's all my fault. I needed to leave. I lingered on, passing blood-spattered walls and dead scientists, security, pilots, and people of other various careers on base, all with the signature bite mark in their neck. I found the ladder I used to enter. I made it back to my car in 10 minutes. I need to leave, and I need to get my family and leave this godforsaken place. On my way out, I passed an F-35 jet crashed in the desert. The aircraft was engulfed in flames. At least they died quickly and painlessly, unlike the people that thing killed. Soon I passed a tan Humvee with no occupants to be found, except for the gunner who had been bitten in the neck, and his body looked like his blood had been drained from his body. The goddamn thing made it out. It's been a few weeks since the incident, and I've been trying not to think about it. I've been having trouble sleeping, even though that thing can't get to me. Nothing was ever told to the public, and the Air Force made a statement claiming over 200 people lost their life due to a massive fire that broke out. None of the families were allowed to see the bodies of their loved ones. I'm not sure what excuse they gave them, but whatever it is, I'm sure it was complete BS. I've been seeing more and more news reports about people being bitten in the neck and sucked of all blood. Lincoln County blamed rabid dogs, but I know the truth. The truth, that thing is still out there in the Nevada desert. I worked at a body farm in Knoxville, Tennessee for the past 5 years as a forensic entomologist. For those of you who don't know what a body farm is a research and training facility where human decomposition can be studied in a variety of settings. In plain English, we watch dead people decompose. There are only 7 of these in existence across the entire United States. The farm itself is scattered with bodies of all types. Most of the bodies are given to us by the individual before death or by the family after. Sometimes when nobody claims a body, the city will give it to us to use on our farm. We take bodies of every race, gender, body type, etc. It's important to know how a fat person decomposes compared to a skinny person or a female in her mid-30s versus a female in her late 80s. We place the bodies in different places. Some are left out in an open field in the sun, some are in the forest, some are in the water, and others are placed in cages to stop birds like vultures from being able to pick at the body. We do not cover or cage all bodies since there are birds in nature. Having a body farm is a very important part of law enforcement, helping solve murders and questionable deaths. A missing person could be found days, weeks, or even years later. By having a body farm, we can determine how long the person has been dead. The shape the body is in will give law enforcement lots of important details. If a body has been dead a few days, you might just see the beginning stages such as the smell of a rotting corpse and the maggots. There are lots and lots of maggots. As time goes on, the body may be bloated with all the gases, and later on, the skin will turn a brownish color. It's a little like when a banana goes bad, it turns brown and mushy. Bodies are a lot like that. It also lets us study the environment after the body has decomposed. Did you know the vegetation where a body has rotted will die, leaving only a bare patch of dirt afterward? Even more interesting, when vegetation goes back in a place a body was at after the grass will be healthier and taller than the surrounding vegetation. Next time you are on a hike and see a taller patch of grass, someone may have been murdered there. Kinda cool, right? The way the body farm is set up is a large, fenced-in rectangle area with the admin building in front. Once outside, there's a large field with a small tree lining the side fence with a gate. At the back, there's a pond, swampy type area. On the right is a wooded area extended back away to a bordering fence. The total size is almost 5 acres. On the adjoining side of the wooded area fence is a restricted military area. Nobody knows exactly what they are doing on the other side of the fence. Hardly anyone knows it exists because publicly they don't exist. For the past 5 years that I've worked here, I've always wondered what they were hiding in there. The area is locked down like Area 51. There's the barbed wire top fence, security cameras, armed guards posted 24/7, and motion detection lights around the perimeter. I could never stop thinking of why they would want to place something that important on a body farm, and what type of weird experiments they might do inside those walls. I had to somehow find out. Some days I would walk close to the enclosure. You could see nothing since whatever they were hiding was on the other side of the wooded area. But I just wanted to see how close I could get to the fence before they sent someone or the motion detection cameras caught me. The answer is about 15 feet from the fence before you are noticed. One guard asked me what I was up to, but I just told him I was walking the grounds, checking on the bodies, and apologized for him having to come out. He bought the excuse and seemed happy not to accidentally cross any decaying bodies on our side. I was given a warning by my superior and told to stay away from the fence. I'm sure the military bosses were not happy someone was prowling along their fence. I backed off for a few weeks, but eventually started to patrol in different areas around their fence. Eventually I found a place where their cameras had a blind spot. I could get right up to the fence and nobody noticed. Over the next few weeks, I continued to visit this part of the fence and stay there for longer and longer, and luckily nobody ever came to check things out. I threw some sticks over the fence to see if it would trip a motion detector, but again, nothing happened. A dead zone. This might be the place I've been searching for. Curiosity has always gotten the best of me. I started to make my plan to break in and see what they were doing over there. I put a wire cutter in my work backpack and cut a small section of the fence until it was large enough for me to squeeze through. I waited for 8 weeks and the fence was never repaired. It looked like I had my way inside. I just had to work up the nerve to sneak in. I finally decided to do it. On the day of my attempt, I left work early for an appointment and then came back later to finish my shift. It gave me a great excuse for working over to catch up on my hours. After everyone left, I clocked out and moved my truck to a parking lot close by. I changed clothes, then walked back to the body farm and snuck in a side gate using my keys. I made it to the fence and took a small break. I quickly thought about what might happen if they caught me. Would they kill me? A body farm would be a perfect place to dump dead body, right? I took a deep breath to calm my nerves and pushed on the slit in the fence. As I stepped through the fence, I accidentally scratched the inside part of my hand, grabbing the cut fence. Some blood started to appear, but hopefully it wouldn't leave any on the fence. I'll have to wash it off tomorrow during my shift. I made it through the fence and waited for motion lights or alarms to go off, but there was only silence. I was in. I slowly walked through the forest, trying my best not to make a sound or move quickly enough to catch anybody's attention. Eventually, I came to a clearing in the trees and looked out to see an open field, then 3 buildings. There was nothing here. It was just 3 small buildings and an open field. One building was larger than the other 2. I assume that is where the headquarters is. For all the secrecy and security, they are running a small operation. Whatever they are doing must be inside one of the buildings. I need to get closer to the buildings and maybe I can catch a glimpse inside. I snuck around to the back side of the building. The rear side was closer and gave me a better view. I think I found what I was looking for. Behind the closest building, there were 4 of the body cages with what looked like 4 bodies inside. They looked like the same ones we used to keep birds off the dead bodies on our side. Why would they do body farm experiments when they could just use our body farm instead? It would be too dangerous to risk moving out of the wooded area, so I just sat and watched. Maybe I could see somebody coming or going and could learn a little more about what they were doing in there. I could always come back now and watch more, now that I had a way in. After about an hour, someone came out of the building wearing a face mask and gloves. I prayed they had not seen me, then he stopped at the cages. Why would he be going to look at a dead body in the middle of the night in basically a hazmat suit? They are dead bodies. This is a bit overkill. He grabbed what looked like a stick off the top of the cage and then poked the body inside the first cage. The body rolled over and got up to its all 4s, back touching the top of the cage. The guard threw something inside the cell and it started to devour its food like a starving dog. He banged on the cage of the next one and the body inside threw itself against the cage and let out a growl. This one kept throwing itself against the cage, trying to get the guard, but eventually settled for its meal. The third cage must have been empty as he passed it by. He walked up to the 4th cage and the body inside was already up on all 4s waiting on him. This one seemed different. This one looked more alive than the others. Then it spoke. "Please, just kill me. Don't turn me into one of those." The guard ignored this one and threw something inside, then went back inside. This is what I came for. This is what they have been keeping secret. I know I should turn back, but I am too close not to figure out the truth. This might be my only chance. I have to go see what they're keeping caged up. I watched the first 2 caged animals eat their meal, but the 4th one is the one I was most interested in. That one ignored his meal and was a person. Why was he locked up with the other things? He wasn't an animal. I waited a little longer, then decided enough time had passed since the guard had gone back inside. I crouched down and ran towards the body cages. As I ran past the first 3 cages, the creatures inside started growling and throwing themselves at the side of the cage, trying to attack me. They need to stop drawing so much attention. I quickly went to the 4th one. Inside was a man who looked underweight and sick. "Help, help," he yelled. "You gotta get me out of here." "Shut up before they come to see what's causing all this noise," I said. "What the hell is going on here?" "They're trying to inject us with a virus that turns us into one of those," he said and pointed at the cage next to him. "What the hell are those things?" I asked as I looked at the things in the cages. The one next to us had to be a decaying body that had been dead for about 6 months, but somehow was still alive. The skin had a brownish tint to it, and the arms and legs had started to rot. The body and head itself was in surprisingly good shape compared to its limbs. "The virus kills everything non-essential to life. That is why half of it is rotting," he said. "Their mind is gone. All they care about is keeping the virus alive by feeding it." "Zombies? That's impossible," I said, staring at one in disbelief. "How is it even alive with its body decaying?" "The only thing alive on those is the virus. The rest is a shell," he said. "Holy shit! Is it contagious?" I asked. "It's a virus! Of course it is! Right now it only spreads by open cuts, but it's evolving. It could eventually turn airborne." He was still talking when he was interrupted. "What the hell is going on out there?" a guard yelled. "Shut the hell up before I beat you with the stick again." The guard slammed the door shut. "Shit, I gotta go. I can't be caught. They'll turn me into one of those if they catch me," I said. "Please, you gotta help me," the sickly one said as he reached out and grabbed my left hand. "I'm not one of them yet. You gotta help me." "I can't right now," I said and pulled my arm away. "I've gotta get out of here." I looked at the buildings to make sure no guards were watching and ran back into the wooded area. Somehow I had made it back to the relative safety of the woods. I backtracked to where I had cut the hole in the fence and pushed myself through. I took the side gate out and walked back to my truck. I drove home trying to grasp what I had just seen. I wish I had just followed the rules and forgot about the restricted area. My curiosity always screws me over. I took a shower and cleaned off. I put some triple antibiotic where I had cut my hand on the fence and covered it with a Band-Aid. Once I laid down on my bed, exhaustion overtook me and I fell into a deep sleep. The next morning I woke up feeling like shit. I looked at my phone and had 7 missed calls from work and it was already 2 p.m. I tried to lift my head up off the pillow, but I was too weak. I closed my eyes and fell back asleep. "Josh, Josh," I heard my girlfriend saying while someone was shaking my body. I opened my eyes and saw her leaning over me. "Ashley, what are you doing?" I tried to say, but it came out as a whisper. "You're awake," she said. "You've been sleeping for 3 days. I was about to call an ambulance. When I came to check on you yesterday, you had a fever over 104. I was going to call an ambulance then, but you said to just let you sleep and rolled over." "I'm okay, really," I said. I wasn't really okay, but I was at least awake. "That is an improvement. What is my temperature now?" 101. "It was just a small virus or something I must have caught," I said. "Did I just say virus? Oh shit. Wait, I bet it was just a dream. Fever dreams can be crazy. That must be it." I looked down and saw my left hand still had a bandage on it. "What happened to my hand?" I asked. "It was like that when I came over," Ashley said. "You worked late the other night and must have went to bed sick when you got home. There's no way I could have caught that virus. I must have caught something else, and I am getting better. It has been a few days and I'm feeling better, but I'm worried. I think I must have the virus." Looking back on the night, the one in the cage grabbed my hand with the cut on it. Is it possible I contracted the virus from him? It makes sense of how I got it and also explains the flu-like symptoms. Even worse, Ashley is now in bed sick with a high fever. I think she may have caught it from me. I don't know what to do next. If I take her to a doctor, they'll discover the virus and have her quarantined. Then she'll tell them she caught it from me. Once the military doctors discover we caught the virus, they'll either have us killed or put into cages as another experiment. The only other option we have is to run when she's feeling better. I don't know how I'm going to explain this to her. I just hope that the virus is only contagious when you have a fever. We're screwed.